What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central. And on this episode, we'll be continuing our player profiles headed into the 2021-22 season. And what better player than to continue with than Lonzo Ball? And the reason why I say that is that recently came out, Sports Illustrated ranked Ball at number 76 in the top 100. They did their first half of the top 100, and that's where Ball ranked. And I figured it would be a great place to not only have a conversation about that, but also how Ball projects into his role into this team coming into 2021 season. Now, the interesting thing about the poll or where he's ranked in this Sports Illustrated list is that, he wasn't ranked last year. So to go from not being ranked at all to making the into the 76th spot is quite a jump. Like I saw a lot of comments on social media about, oh, he's ranked too low, this, and I understand that, and especially if you're a Bulls fan or if you're someone who's been a Lonzo Ball fan, I can understand the disappointment there. But I'm not looking at it like that. I'm looking at it from him not being ranked at all to getting to this point is solid. He made a huge jump in his career last season, and then even with that, the Pelicans didn't quite use him to the best of his ability. That's one of the biggest things there is that, even with Lonzo's improvement, how can he improve being in a place where he gets to be him, that highlights some of his strengths and doesn't really have him, playing out of himself. But, we'll talk about that and how he fits in the Bulls. The interesting thing here is that his brother, LaMelo, is ranked, I believe, number 51. Let me look that up for a second real quick. LaMelo was ranked number 51. That means his brother is ranked 25 spots ahead of him. We know that LaMelo had the tweet or the comment earlier in the summer saying that he's better than Lonzo. Wonder what the sibling rivalry is going to be there, and it's going to be really interesting to see them guard each other and everything there. But some of the players that are ranked around Lonzo. So let's look at some of the players ranked below him, right? So we have Seth Curry at number 81, Brook Lopez at 82, Buddy Hield came in at 79, Terry Rozier came in at 78, Anthony Edwards, who's coming into his second year, ranked 77. Spencer Dinwiddie, one spot above Lonzo Ball at number 75. Bojan, 74. DeJounte Murray, 73. Joe Harris, 72. And Colin Sexton, 71. So when you look at that cluster of players around Lonzo Ball, that is not a bad set of company to be in. And then even Kemba Walker, 69, so not too far above him either. But the one I want to focus on there, Spencer Dinwiddie being ranked right above Lonzo Ball. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because a lot of Bulls fans really wanted Spencer Dinwiddie. There was a lot of talk there heading into this offseason that if the Bulls can get Spencer Dinwiddie, we know he was here before, and the player he became, sucks that we couldn't hold on to him. But Dinwiddie is a really good comp to Lonzo Ball in a few different reasons. No, he doesn't have the scoring potential of Spencer Dinwiddie. Well, potential maybe, but he hasn't shown that, right? That's not his role. But when you look at being able to be solid on both sides of the ball, that's what Spencer Dinwiddie has, even the length that both of these players have. And I really, when I heard 76, I was like, my first thing was, where is he? Who was ranked around him? And I like looking at that players those players in that cluster around him made me think like almost every player around him that's a point guard. So, DeJounte Murray, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kemba Walker, they were all players that at one time Bulls fans were interested in having coming into this team. And I think really that comp between him and Spencer is going to be, is why I should say, I really do feel that Lonzo's going to be such a good fit on this team. Not that they're the same player. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they can give you similar impacts on the game. I honestly think Lonzo, hopefully this season, is actually going to impact the game more defensively than Dinwiddie. But I really like that cluster of players that he's around. And when you look at this, we already know Zach LaVine is going to be in the top 50 players, right? That goes without saying. So we have two of the top 100 players on this team, and that's to say Vooch may be somewhere on that list as well. I guess that remains to be seen. But it's just an interesting list and jumping off. And most of these things, I I don't take these things with a grain of salt. I take them with a huge thing of salt. A lot of these Sports Illustrated top 100 rankings are really more like a power rankings. Like who are they excited about? Who are they expected to make a jump? And Lonzo made a jump into this, but I really do think Lonzo's potential on this team, and that's what we're going to talk about next, is going to really highlight a lot of what he was able to do good last season. Now, when you look at Lonzo, like what Lonzo, when we signed him, was heralded as like this perfect fit next to Zach LaVine, which only lasted about a day or two because the Bulls then signed DeMar DeRozan, and then the conversation more so became DeMar's lack of fit. And I think really the conversation on how good, at least on paper, Lonzo and Zach LaVine look. And even when you look at a trio of guards, or let's say a quartet? Is that what it is when it's four? When you look at our guard lineup, and I'm taking Ayo out of conversation because we don't know what his role is going to be, and I hope he can on the role. But when you look at Ball, LaVine, Kobe White, and Caruso, give you so much versatility in those guard spots, defense, offense, that I'm not saying that we're going to have the best guard lineup in the league. I'm not saying that at all, but I really do think that versatility there is going to make all these players look amazing together. And you can really look at any combination of those four out on the court can work in different ways. Clearly, we know what Ball and Zach LaVine are going to do. Ball being there to help push the pace, to be a smarter decision maker than what LaVine has ever played with at the point guard position. Well, maybe except Rubio. But, looking at that, we know what those two are going to be. Like the symmetry there just makes sense. But then also when you look at Kobe White, and that's something that I talked about in my Kobe White video yesterday, Kobe White being next to Lonzo Ball works in so many different ways as well. Lonzo and Caruso, you can not for like any huge stretch amount of time, but you can see that a situation in which those two players on the court holding down that backcourt together, and defensively we're at least solid, right? And scoring wise, like no, you're not expecting either one of those to necessarily score 20 points a game if for some reason they're the starters at some point because of injuries, rest, or whatever else. But it's still formidable in a lot of different ways. Caruso, White, LaVine is probably the weakest matchup out of that, just because unless we're just going all out running the ball, and really now with us having DeMar DeRozan there to really in the half court at least, Kobe White and Zach LaVine being on the court together may not be, like I said, in stretches. I'm not saying starters, they playing most of the majority of their minutes together, but in some stretches can also be a very solid matchup there and a favorable matchup depending on how everything looks to progress. But Lonzo Ball is the player that is going to unlock the potential of so many other things that we can do. Really, our offense, yes, is built around Zach LaVine, but that offense being able to run at an efficiency level we haven't seen yet kind of rests on Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan to an extent in different ways. But I also think that with the scoring that we have on this team, that Lonzo is going to get more open shots. And that's if Lonzo, in such a way can stay active, can stay with his head up. And he's shown that ability. He's a very smart and intelligent basketball player. And Lonzo, admittedly, is somebody who, coming into the league, I didn't believe the Lonzo hype. Let me say that up here. I did not believe the Lonzo Ball hype with Lonzo coming into the league. But he's shown in his short time in this NBA that he is steadily progressing, and he's a smart player. And when you have the passing ability of Lonzo Ball, as well as the basketball IQ that he has, the length as well, the activity on defense that a lot of people don't talk about, Lonzo is, like I said, he's almost a perfect complement to Zach LaVine on paper. We got to see if it looks that way in real live action in real games, but that's what you do. You put players together, you put a team on paper together, and then you hope that it can execute. And that's what Lonzo is. That's what he brings to this table. And I really do think, like, I know Lonzo does goofy shit, and he's a character, right? And I hate his hip hop opinions. I fucking hate Lonzo Ball's hip hop takes. Almost every single one of them make me grit my teeth. But outside of that, he's a very intelligent basketball player, and that's what you want in your point guard position. And when you look at the other passing that we have on this team, it's just going to make it that much more dangerous. I really do think that Lonzo, I say that almost in every one of these videos. I think this is the year we're going to see something out of him, but I really do think that if that potential hits the way that we think that it can, and it may not be early on. I did a video on that where don't expect huge success right away from this team as far as like everybody looking and being cohesive right away. That doesn't mean I'm saying that I'm not saying that we're going to lose games or anything like that right away, but I really do think that cohesion is going to take a little while to come to. But once we get there, whether it's beginning, the middle, whatever point it happens, once we get there, I really do think the brand of basketball that the Bulls play is going to be so fun to watch, in a big part due to Lonzo Ball and what he can do and what he does in creation. And I'm not one, because there's a lot of things on paper that look good that end up not being good, right? And I don't want to like shit on anyone's hopes and dreams here, because I'm a Bulls fan as well. I'm excited about this team. But if I had to point out anything that could go wrong, maybe his scoring isn't kind of what we need it to be. But if he's doing everything else, I mean, really look at this team isn't hurting for scoring at all. And I really do think if Lonzo finds his place and if Lonzo, buys into what this team's doing, that I'm not saying he's going to be at the end of the season, he's going to be looked at as a top 10 point guard or whatever. But I do think that backcourt, what they're able to do together is going to be beautiful and great looking basketball. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Lonzo is going to be able to unlock different parts of Levine's game, of Kobe White's game in the minutes that they play together? I really do think that. Let me know if you agree down below. Make sure you're subscribed as well. And I know every YouTuber says this, and this is just a thing of the platform. Almost 90% of the people who watch this channel aren't subscribed. What are you doing? Subscribe. But nonetheless, like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. I love you guys. Peace.